for what we believe. But let's just make sure that we're not, going on social media and everything else, sticking our tongue out at Democrats and doing the, na 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 na, you looks like your crooked Hillary went down. Let's just make sure that we're not being that way. Okay? Can I make that suggestion? All right. Anyway, we're going to get some further analysis on all of this and this historic election from Rocky Roszkowski, Andrew Rocky Roszkowski, of course, Lieutenant Colonel, retired political analyst, president of Imperium Logistics, former majority leader of the Michigan House, joins me now. Colonel Roszkowski, thank you for being with us today.
Hey, Bob, thank you very much for having me. I went to bed at 5:40 this morning.
Oh, really? I was going to ask you. I was curious. I was curious if you stayed up later than I did. For me, it was 4:30.
I left Fox 2. I was doing the analyst side of the election and going through the different states and the elections with the Fox 2 crew. And at one point during one of the breaks, we did a selfie with all the individuals, Huel and Monica and the folks, and it looked like I was the only person there with a permagrin, and all the rest of them just left the funeral. But what you just said is so very true, because I will share this with you, that many times when I was on the program in the past, your program, I would get emails or Facebook messages or people just making comments that, hey, Rocky's off his rocker, that abortion is not just a Christian, or Christians aren't just pro-life, and you don't have to be pro-life to be Christian, and all this other stuff. And, I try to deal with people kindly and politely. But taking what you just said, we as Christians have to acknowledge what Hillary Clinton's going through, the pain that she's going through as well. And as an individual, because she believed in something that she truly believed in and fought for.
Right.
And today she's having the same pain. There's pain in victory, and there's pain in loss.
Right.
And
her supporters too. But her supporters are going through this pain too. And we need to have a heart of compassion for them. Doesn't matter if we have to agree with them, but we need to have a heart of compassion.
Absolutely. And compassion is one of the leadership traits, and one of the things that we as Christians should try to espouse and show people, that the compassion is the love and respect of another individual.
Right.
That's basically what it comes down to. And I got to tell you, I watched her concession speech today, and I thought it was very well written, very well done. And I pray that we as a nation can move forward, and that people that had the same reluctance when Ronald Reagan became president, the people that had the same apprehension, the reluctance, the anxiety that when Ronald Reagan was elected, realize that, the president can do only so much, and the president's one of the largest cheerleaders for our country, and sets the tone for our country. So we pray that Donald Trump today, and going forward to January 21st, when he takes the oath of office, has the mindset and the heart of a leader, and that God inspires him to move our nation forward. And I'm just happy because, as you know, we've done a lot of advertising on the Christian stations that specifically talked about the Supreme Court, and it reinstored the faith that our nation is one nation under God, and that we can create a Supreme Court that protects and preserves life, that has respect for life.
I'll tell you, as far as the healing of the nation going forward, it was really a good moment to see both of them, and I give them both a lot of credit, okay? I mean, Donald Trump praised Hillary Clinton last night. He said, quote, Hillary has worked very long and very hard over a long period of time, and we owe her a major debt of gratitude for her service to our country. I mean that very sincerely. That showed a lot of class, presidential class on his part. And yes, it showed a lot of class on Hillary Clinton's part to say, quote, we must accept the result of this and look to the future. Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead. That was a very classy statement for her to make as well. And so I think that's very good. Now, Rocky, I'm curious to get your take on Michigan, because they still haven't completely declared.
No, they did now.
Michigan.
They did.
Oh, did they finally declare? Because it's about 14,000 votes, I think he's up.
The unofficial results that the Secretary of State will certify and take to the Board of Canvassers for certification shows that he won Michigan by about 15,000 votes.
Okay, all right.
So
Wow.
Michigan is now, and what's amazing, and I mentioned this to Yul Perkins last night on the news, was what's truly amazing is that nobody, not even you or I even, gave Donald Trump the belief that what he was saying was going to come true. No one thought that he would carry what's called the Rust Belt, and I want to lead a charge to change it from the Rust Belt to the manufacturing belt. How about that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'd much rather call it that.
Yeah, why would we call ourselves the Rust Belt?
Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
Even Ohio, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Ohio, we knew was going to go for Trump, and Indiana was going to go for Trump. But truly, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, wow.
I'll tell you what, I told my audience yesterday that if he takes Florida, Ohio, and North Carolina, which are three must-haves, if he takes those, he's got to peel a blue state from Hillary Clinton. And so watch Michigan or Pennsylvania. I think he's got a slightly better chance in Pennsylvania. It's going to be an uphill battle. I don't know that he can overcome the polls and do this, so I don't think it's going to happen, but, you know, it's possible if everybody gets out there and votes. But my goodness, for him to take all three and then to take Wisconsin on top of it, I'm like, where in the world did that come from?
It was truly an amazing night, and he was the one that kept talking about it and predicting it. But yet, during his speeches, he would talk about a rigged system, and it sounded like a Debbie Downer. A lot of times, even during some of his speeches, people were like saying, looking at each other, saying, "Why is he so down? Why is he talking about this rigged system?" It's as if he's predicting his own loss. But he would talk about Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, even Minnesota. Who would have ever thought that Minnesota would be as close as it was? I mean, this is the state that gave us Walter Mondale and Alan Franken.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Right.
And Jesse Ventura. Nobody, no Republican, even Ronald Reagan lost Minnesota, and Donald Trump was competitive. He lost it by just a fraction. Unbelievable.
You know what I wonder about Trump, and I don't know this yet, okay, but you look at the strategy that he employed in his last few days. Rather than going for Florida, Ohio, and North Carolina and trying to shore up that win, he went really aggressive. He doubled down. I was talking on my show yesterday. I said, you know, this is a very bold strategy on his part to suddenly go into these blue states and attack that. And the way that the analogy I used, Rocky, yesterday was it's like a football game. And when the coach, it's the very end of the game. There's one play left. They score a touchdown, but they're down by one. And he makes a decision. Do I go for the one extra point and then try to win in overtime? Or do I go for the win and risk it all and go for two? And Donald Trump is basically saying, I'm going for two. And if he gets it, then he pulled off a strategically brilliant move. And if he doesn't get it, then everybody's going to second guess and say that was stupid. He sort of shored up the states. So I'm wondering here, is this a case where Donald Trump is maybe a lot shrewder of a businessman and marketer, and his ability to read people and understand? Is it possible that he's just way sharper and way shrewder than any of us have been giving him credit for, kind of dismissing him as a carnival barker TV star?
Well, I think it rests on Kellyanne, his campaign manager's perspective and her knowledge of the numbers. And I think she was the one that was reading, I hate to use the term, but I'm going to use it, reading the tea leaves, so to speak. And I only use that in adjective format, nothing else. But she was the one that was kind of the prognosticator. And remember, she came from a polling environment where she scrutinized numbers. And a lot of the pollsters and pundits don't scrutinize numbers. They look at hard data, and they don't really cut down into that data to go beyond what that hard data is showing us to find out what it's actually telling us. Instead of showing us, tell me what you're actually telling me. And she would cut through that information, the minutia, and all of those volumes of information, and really find out. And she was the first one, and my brother even told me the same thing, that said that Either people are lying to the pollsters because they're afraid and they're ashamed of claiming that they're Donald Trump supporters, or they're really skewing the calls. Because if you look at it, he outperformed Romney's numbers, and in some cases, even in some states, outperformed Obama's numbers. And how did you do that in certain states? How do you do that?
I don't know.
Now it does come out. I think it did come out that she actually won the popular vote by a couple thousand or maybe 50,000.
Very close at this point, but it looks like she will have the popular vote, but barely.
Yeah, barely. But he actually just took a rounce of all the electoral states to really seal it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, it's we dodged a huge bullet. There's no doubt. We dodged a huge bullet in this country and for the Supreme Court. And now it's a matter of looking to Donald Trump and seeing what kind of leader he turns out to be. We hold his feet to the fire for the pledges. But here, and this is the last thing I want to say, and I want to get your thoughts on this because we got about 30 seconds left, okay? As Christians, Rocky, I'm arguing that we got to be careful not to place unrealistic expectations on Donald Trump as far as his necessity to compromise and make deals with the Democrats. Ronald Reagan did it. We got to leave Donald Trump the flexibility to do that and not expect him to govern like the absolute purist conservative in every area.
Well, there are certain things that we consider. That's one thing that most people don't understand is that you've got to consider certain things as core values that you do not move on, and then there's other things that you negotiate on. One of the key core values that he made a promise to, that I believe he will hold true to, is his commitment to right to life, which has been a tremendous change for him as an individual and a metamorphosis into a pro-lifer, which made me very proud to hear during the debate when he said, I am 100% pro-life, and he said it better than even George W. Bush. But one thing that I have to end on, if I may, I'm very proud of the list